Alright, so I made the round earth is bullshit, defending flat earth and everything. But I think I need a short version of this. Just to get the point across to people who don't want to sit for 3 hours. 1 hour of this video is just me looking at the comments, I believe. And being annoyed that people make fun of flat earth. Just like, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory. You're going against authority, and that's it. It's game over. If you go against authority, that's game over. No one is going to believe you. Especially when we have all these scientists, telling us that the Earth is flat. How could they be in on the thing, right? But yeah, it's one of the biggest points. So we're gonna just look through all these points one more time in a short format this time and discuss all the reasons why I think the Earth is definitely flat at the moment. It cannot be proven otherwise at the moment. Because no one wants to go out into space and take a photo of Earth, of actual photo. No one fucking wants to do that. Everyone wants to just generate an image, one way or the other. But there's no actual real picture. We never really got a picture of Earth from space. And that's, that it is a normal argument, but this should be a crown argument, honestly. It's like, yeah, hiding flat Earth is really easy when you don't have a picture of round Earth, an actual picture. And that's it. And it gets worse. My conclusion of this whole thing, it was that you have three. This is three. The biggest argument against flat Earth is that, there has to be an entire huge amount of people in authority hiding the truth, basically. But that is always with conspiracy theories, and actually it is a big thing about just discovering bullshit. Authorities don't really care much, so they will just believe whatever they want. Whatever is like the most comfortable thing to believe is. And if people change their minds, if people actually start looking at something and authorities can't ignore it anymore, they have to, test it out properly. We're not challenging authorities right now, alright? They're not really hiding flat Earth from us, because we're not challenging them enough. And it is annoying, right? Why you didn't go back to the moon? Oh, we can't go back to the moon anymore. It would be a perfect place to take a picture of Earth right now. Wow, it would debunk flat Earth so fast. But we can't do that. And it's crazy. So I just simply have no reason to believe in round Earth. It's just nothing. There's nothing. And there's plenty of reasons why the round Earth model just looks a little bit too stupid to believe in. But again, I made my calculation of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th, yeah, give me Earth from space was just give me. So, as much as I like this, I'll just hard it. It's not an argument because I already made another crown argument with just 3 points. So we have 10 points. I have to recalculate this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 points. Alright, so what do they have? as arguments against flat Earth. If gravity does not exist, why would things fall down? I don't know. Alright? It's just the way the world works. We kind of just say it all works because of density. More dense things fall down, and less dense things go up. We don't know why there is a direction down specifically, but it looks like a very well thought out rule, basically. And you would be a little bit more certain that God created the world than be like, oh, the world is randomly generated, because you have this almost infinite universe that came from a big bang. Like, really? Why would God create infinite universe when God can create life itself? Human life, the most interesting thing to create. Why would it create the universe? What's the point? Especially when you look in the solar system, you have a creation of like the sun being so many times larger than the Earth. What was the point of that? Why would you have the sun that is way larger than the Earth? Why would you bother? Because that's material that you have to create. You have to know about that material. So if you believe in God, that God created everything, and I don't care if you're a scientist or not, or a scientific-minded person, there is a reason to believe in God. Like, if we live in a simulation, most people would believe in that, because a lot of well-minded people say that. Well, it's very likely that we live in simulation, but where's that simulation come from? If this is a simulation, someone created it. Someone is the god of this simulation. So it's very, very likely that there is a God. God that does not want to interfere in life, but probably has a way of interfering with life anyways. Observing from the outside. He doesn't want to change anything because, like, whatever. I'm God. I can create my own universe for myself and become a human being of that universe. Maybe that's what God would do. Who knows? It's a big mystery right there. And that's the interesting part. Like, flat Earth is so amazing. It makes you think about very deep topics like that. Why would you avoid that? Why would you say it's stupid? Because you're brain dead. That's why. It's ridiculous. Again, flat Earth is on my list 46th position of most important things in my life. That's pretty high. The fact that it exists as a topic of discussion, as a thing. Everything else is a game, a celebrity that put out a lot of content on the internet. But this is just straight up a topic of discussion. And it's a big deal. I don't have any more topics of discussion. Maybe COVID would be interesting topic of discussion, but even that breaks down very fast. It's like, yeah, it's kind of bullshit that, authorities want us to believe, and they want for us to accept that masks are gonna save us, and destroying economy is totally fine. We're just making a very honorable sacrifice that doesn't kill human life at all. I'm pretty sure authorities are making a lot of mistakes, and this is why this is not like a super duper great argument to be like, oh, let's trust an authority all the way, no matter what they say. we should verify what they're doing. We should verify because they are wasting money most of the time. If they're making mistakes, or they're not disclosing something, or they're not doing what we want them to do, It's a big deal, right? Like, if we cannot tell NASA what we want them to do, they might just be wasting money. And it's very bad. But this is how the world works right now. Like, a lot of people are allowed to waste money to be rich, and enslave other people to, make for enslave people to give the rich people the services that they want. It's like, I deserve it, dude. I deserve good treatment. I deserve to live in heaven, basically, on earth. Which is like, guys, I live in heaven. It's very affordable. You don't have to be rich. It's like, be stupid, but again, it's just another topic of discussion, which I will probably break down in some video. Say that being rich is bullshit. Most definitely coming up. Anyway, somehow all ancient civilizations well, actually, we're gonna go look into the claims against flat Earth first. I think it's 10 against 20. So there's a decent amount. Or 20, nah, it's more than that. It's like 26 or something, because I have 2 crowns. 2 reasons why you should know why people believe the Earth is flat is obviously because of what they observe. They just don't care about your round Earth because there's no reason for them to believe in round Earth. Just nothing. What they observe is flat, no matter from what height you look at it. There's a certain height that we cannot get to, and we cannot get any higher than that. So there's a lot of balloons that have been sent to a certain height, but they cannot go anywhere higher. We don't have the means to get anywhere higher and observe whether it's flat or not. But from what we can observe, it's flat, so it's like all our observations say it's flat, so why else would we believe in a round Earth? Just because scientists say so, but they don't change our observations. They don't give any observations. They don't actually give enough proof. So what's the point? And is the same thing, basically, the same crown of like saying, well, give us the most important proof. The Earth from space, the actual picture of that. And document the entire process of getting that picture too. That's also important. You cannot just give us the picture and be like, hey, you believe the Earth is round now, right? Well, how did you get that picture? We need to know, man. At least to break down this observation and why isn't there Earth from space. Most important things to break down right now. So what else? So again, I've just said, like, yeah, there's probably a rule in the universe, in the world that we live in. I wouldn't say a universe anymore, because, like, who knows, space can be fake anyways. Like, we are the center of the universe. We are the world. That's the way I like to look at it. It would be pretty meaningless to live in a universe and just random universes. Like, that's pretty meaningless. But if someone specifically created us, which is again very likely to be the case, I'm not saying we're more meaningful, but it just makes more sense. And it is more meaningful because then like it reminds you that you're kind of a god too, potentially, and you'll be able to get out of this world and do whatever you like once you die. You can do it in your dreams, technically. Like, it's crazy. The science doesn't want to say that you would live forever. No, it just looks at a human being as like, oh, you're gonna die and disappear. You'll be living in nothingness forever. I don't know, man. That sounds like impossible. It sounds like nothingness does not exist. There's always something happening from consciousness standpoint. Consciousness does not just cease to exist. It goes somewhere else. Anyways, what would keep sun and moon in the sky? I don't know. On flat Earth, there are sun and the moons in the sky spinning around. What would make them move, and what would make them stay on the sky? We don't know that. We have some ideas, but I don't want to sound dumb, so I will not speculate. Wait, do satellites actually rotate the Earth? I would say around the Earth. Because, again, whatever makes the sun and moon move around the Earth would have to make satellites move around the Earth too, and make stars move around the Earth too. On the round Earth model, you would just... Sun doesn't rotate around the Earth. The Earth itself rotates, and that explains everything. And that's why it's a problem, right? Oh, satellites all of a sudden, they don't... Well, they do have to rotate around the Earth, kind of. They cannot just detach themselves from Earth and all of a sudden they're... But it's weird. I don't know. It's just that problem that, like, why would sun and moon rotate around the Earth? But it's just like the same answer is like, this is how everything is designed. We don't have to know. The sun looks like it goes straight down. Yeah, that's a problem. It doesn't get smaller in the distance. So it really seems like it's around Earth, because the sun would get smaller. But at some clips that I saw, it does get smaller somehow. But I just don't take it as evidence of any kind. I'm just like, well, this is an illusion of some sort. I don't care. It could be. So this is a good example of, like, around Earth. And then there is the most infamous Professor Dave trying to debunk flat Earth. He pulls out this argument. Why do we see a Southern Cross or something? And that's the argument. There are South Pole stars. There's a South Pole. The flat earthers don't believe in South Pole. They think Antarctica is just a ring around the Earth. And, yeah, that would debunk flat Earth. If there's South Pole stars. It's like, how do you explain that? Cool. That's interesting, but it's not the greatest argument of all time. It's just, yeah, you got that one. I wouldn't be able to explain that. Things weigh less in the equator than in North Pole. That was a very interesting thing to find out. I think I found out while I was doing the video. that they actually believe this. And they don't just believe it, they say that you don't want to weigh gold at the equator and sell it at North Pole for a profit, basically, because it would weigh less or whatever. They use some kind of counterweight scales or something to negate that effect. This is because of the spin of the Earth, right? So things weigh less in the equator because of the spin of the Earth. Cool. There's an actual, some evidence for that, the spin of the Earth. You can't actually feel the spin of the Earth, but, well, there's a little bit of evidence here. It weighs less. Cool. Yeah. And I was like, okay, why does ice exist on Earth? I mean, Antarctica and Arctic, the poles basically are full of ice. I'm like, indirect sunlight, is the sunlight really that important? Or is like the heat of the sun important? Because if the heat of the sun is important and not the sunlight, then it would heat up the Earth pretty consistently. The entire Earth would melt ice, basically. There wouldn't be any ice. But at the same time, you can magnify the sunlight using magnifying glass and concentrate the heat beam, and it's gonna be a lot hotter. So technically, this is a counter argument to this. It's still, hard to understand why, but it's cool. It's a cool counter argument, and that's where it ends. That's where the whole idea of round Earth pretty much ends. And we go to flat Earth arguments. So yeah, for some reason, ancient civilizations, I've seen many pictures basically showing how they depicted this snow globe thing, with the firmament and everything. It just depicted flat Earth pretty much. And then we are like, now, 500 years ago, we discovered that the Earth is not flat anymore. Wow. We have disproven all these ancient civilizations. It shouldn't be a good argument, to be honest. It's like, yeah, we figure out that something is bullshit. But at the same time, it's still a pretty good argument. It's like, well, they didn't have a reason to believe in anything but the flat Earth. But now we created this whole scientific ideology, basically, of how the universe works. And we can't see past that, even though there's not enough evidence right now. No, I still don't think it's a good argument, and we shouldn't talk about it. It's like, what's the point? Of course, ancient civilizations are gonna think bullshit things, and we shouldn't go back to that. So, yeah, whatever. Very important, we can't observe gravity. Yes, we can observe things falling down, but we can't see things attract other things. Even like super dense cube I've seen in Unspeakable, and I've covered, you know, his content on my channel. But it's like, shouldn't that very dense cube just attract anything at all? But it probably doesn't do that. You know, I have, it is never observed. Like, yes, there's some weird experiment where two big balls somehow supposed to attract each other. And who knows how that experiment works, but in just normal conditions, nothing attracts anything. Nothing orbits anything. It just, you know, everything falls to the ground. But that's not the proof of gravity. Nothing else have a gravitational pull. None of the things that we have created have it. It's weird. I wouldn't expect that if gravity was real. Why would just the Earth? And Earth doesn't have a crazy ass density either. I don't think. You know. And if it's not just density, it's the size of the Earth. It's like, but there's a distance, dude. There's a distance from that thing. And how does the gravity even work if it's not based on density? You really believe Earth will never fall into the sun? That's the weirdest part. Like, Earth, yeah, it is an ellipse. The path of the Earth is an ellipse. It's not a perfect circle, but why would it not just slowly fall into the sun anyways? I've seen some gravitation simulations out there, and things kind of tend to fall into just one pool of gravity, basically. Just everything just goes into one place. That's how gravity would work, I would think. Slowly but surely, everything is consumed into one place. And, you know, we don't observe that at all. We don't observe any changes, by the way, in the stars in our galaxy, like, whatever. Yeah, it would take so long for any changes to happen, but yeah. The most important change is we're rotating around the sun just fine. And it shouldn't be that fine at all. Things should fall into the sun. We should even observe things falling into the sun constantly. But sure, we don't do that. How do you rotate around moving Earth? How does... Wait. I'm not exactly sure what I meant, because I think I was talking about the moon. How does the moon rotate around moving Earth? Because when the Earth moves, the moon actually has to catch up to the Earth. The Earth is orbiting around the sun, and the moon at some point has to catch up for it to not, you know, for it to keep its orbit. How does it keep its orbit? How is it so easy? And it keeps a pretty regular orbit too. Nothing really happens with the moon. You know, how does that work? It's a little bit different than just, you know, things falling into... it's just, how do you keep this double orbit, the Earth moving around the sun and the moon around the Earth? How do you keep that? The moon is rotating just enough to face the Earth. That is just so unbelievably hard to explain. I don't know, man. What kind of science you have to come up with to explain this shit. But again, you don't have enough evidence that the Earth is round. So you have to come up with bullshit to, counter these arguments. But I'm not convinced. I haven't heard enough bullshit. I'm not listening to bullshit that scientists want to say. They're probably not even discussing that properly yet. I cannot find enough scientists talk about it, or any people whatsoever. But, it would take someone really smart to figure this out. Why would the moon keep rotating just enough to face the Earth? We can only see one face of the moon at all times. It's a mystery, dude. On flat Earth, it makes sense. It's like, well, it doesn't have to rotate, so it always faces the Earth, yeah. But when we go to round Earth, it's like the moon always has to face the Earth for it to just, show one face. Always has to rotate just enough. Just enough. That is unbelievably unlikely. Think about it. It's already very unlikely that the Earth even exists the way it is, that life even exists on Earth. It's so unlikely. But then we have this problem. The sun and the moon are the same size, and the moon is rotating towards the Earth, facing the Earth, basically. Two things that are super unlikely, that has nothing to do with life existing on the Earth, and it has everything to do with how unlikely it is for us to observe something like this in a random universe. Is what? You kidding me? This is a things. Sun and moon are the same size in our universe right now? What Earth do we live in? How did that happen? That's crazy coincidence, don't you think? Man, unbelievable. And again, people just say it's stupid. Okay. I love these people. They just proven that they're stupid. Because they don't like looking into things. Because I think it's very smart to look into this. I applaud all the people who have done the work and have, had the courage to go through all of this, because it's a lot of work. Alright? Just to change a belief. It's a lot of work. And, that's amazing. They did it. They're curious. They're generally interesting to interact with. They have created a very interesting topic to look into because they're so brave to look the opposite way of what the authority says. And yet, people decide that it's stupid. Unbelievable. But, we're dealing with a lot of bullshit in the world. And those people are part of that bullshit too. This is why Flat Earth is just a great topic. Just amazing topic when we're talking about bullshit. I am pretty sure it's more likely that God made us. We talked about this, right? We talked about God already. Where's your stupid rotation? I should observe its angular speed. Right, so we kind of observe it, as I've said, as like the weight is different. But this rotation is pretty fast. It's like 100 miles per... what is the speed of sound? Meters per second. I wanted to know miles. Miles per hour, how much is that? But, you know, it's... I just heard it's faster than speed of sound. That's what it is. Pretty fast. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, well, on a plane you don't feel the speed because you... Yeah, but we're moving in a different way. Alright? The Earth is moving in angular speed. Rotating in angular speed. It's different. Yeah, you should be shot into outer space. But yes, you're countered by gravity. So but there should still be a difference, right? Like, if anything started rotating beneath your feet, you would be pushed away from that thing. We can't observe any of this stuff. Besides, again, the counter-argument that exists. The weight. But it's a little bit worse with the clouds. Because the clouds don't really supposed to follow the rotation of the Earth. They should fall back. Where the Earth is rotating, the clouds would just stay still and kind of rotate just like the sun rotates. You know. But the clouds decided that they want to have the same speed as the rotation of the Earth. They kind of decided that. It's weird, you know, like, the Earth is rotating. How are the clouds rotating too? Crazy. What is attaching the cloud to the Earth? The gravity? That's amazing, dude. All these molecules just so very, very well attached, even though they're like not Earth itself. But it's a mystery. It's interesting. There might be counter arguments to that. Who cares? I just can't observe any of that rotation from where I am. Why would we possibly have... What is that? What is that argument, dude? Guess 24, because I don't know what it is. Randomly generated things. I know this is a really big argument that beyond life existing, that if there's something really unlikely, it's a great mystery. Because it's like, yes, maybe the Earth is in like a perfect way to exist on a solar system, which is a little bit too perfect of a system. Like, why Sun has so many planets that follow rotation that never really changes. Nothing falls into the Sun. Neither of these planets is like cool, but it's very unlikely. But okay, maybe Earth exists in that sort of solar system, but you have the additional parameters or variables that just make it even less likely for life to exist and experience life exactly the way that we do. But if we're created, then there's no limits for how weird life can be, honestly. And that's the cool part of having a god. So yeah, I'm not sure what I was talking about. You can find it in the video when I made this argument, but I can't just recall it. It's not a strong argument if I don't know what it is. Governments are capable and would be totally fine to lie to people. You know, the governments don't really care what they put out, whether it's a lie or not. They just care about control more or less, and that they're not being attacked by other governments. It's like that's all they care about. They don't care whether people believe in bullshit or not. It's like, you believe in whatever you want to believe. If that's benefit to us, you know. If it doesn't benefit us, then we will control the narrative quite a bit. Like China controls quite a bit of the narrative. They will not allow anyone go against the government at all. But yeah, we are able to talk about the government just fine. So we should be very happy that we have even that amount of freedom right now. Should be very glad. And you should be against the government. Just straight up. This is why it's a good argument. Like, you shouldn't trust the authority, because no one should really have authority over you. It's just like, yeah, there are things that are really great that make your life very great, and as long as someone can teach you something, they're your authority, basically. If you're learning anything, I am your authority. Congratulations. You might find this entire channel, quite useful for you. I am your authority. You have chosen me. And that's the cool part. If you haven't chose your government, you don't agree with your government on any major problems or whatever there is to believe in, you know, you should have the freedom to not believe in it, and it should make a difference too. They should care. But right now the governments don't really care. They don't have the capability to care, so they will just, you know, propagate whatever they believe in. They don't have a reason to not lie to you and not hide things from you. Another good reason to believe in flat Earth is that I've already said it, you know. It's just a very interesting topic to think about. Very interesting. The way people react to it, everything you can figure out about God, about likelihood of things happening the way that they do. Just, there's so much more. It really makes you question things. It really makes you wonder about other bullshit things that could possibly be happening that people believe in. Because we need to evolve. We need to figure out what's bullshit or not. That's the important part of this series, and I really use Flat Earth a lot as an example. It's a great investment, because like not a lot of people believe in this, so if it's true, you know, you don't really lose anything for believing in this. You're just being called stupid. But it's like, people can't really do anything against you. They're not really going to attack you for believing in something. Just being called stupid is not good enough to be an argument in the first place. So, again, if we're being proved correct, if I'm, you know, I believe in flat Earth, and if I'm correct, if I change people's minds, and eventually I'm correct, then I will be rewarded tremendously, I'm sure. One way or the other, you know, it's probably not going to be much money at all, but I should be rewarded if I'm correct, if I change people's minds somehow. That's the idea. That's why you should worry about it at all. It's amazing, right? Like, okay, we cannot have this picture from space or the moon, but they just say we can't go back to the moon because of radiation. For some reason, radiation wasn't a problem back 50 years ago, but like now it's a problem. So we didn't go to the moon. Either that, or like, we have no idea. What the fuck is going on? Why is Antarctica being protected by the government? This is something that pops up in almost every flat earth video. It's like, Antarctic Treaty, look into it, it's pretty important. Whoa, what's the point of guarding Antarctica? You know, like, why is it so different from North Pole? It's crazy. There shouldn't be a treaty of many governments coming together to protect something. That makes no sense. Protect some ice? Is that what you're trying to do? Cool. But no, it's reasonable in flat earth, because you don't know what you're gonna find. Especially when some people believe there's more land because of Admiral Byrd claiming that. Some people believe it's just you're gonna hit a dome and that's it, that's your limit of the entire Earth. But yeah, you can't check that out. You cannot check whether you can fly over Antarctica or not. And that goes to another point. The flights look weird. The long destination flights on South Pole stops in weird locations to refuel. It doesn't look weird on flat Earth. It looks like a straight line on flat Earth, but on South, it shouldn't be, you know. South Pole should, you know, take advantage that South Pole is smaller on round Earth than it is on flat Earth. So the real question is like, what is the flight map that pilots are using? I have seen people claim that it's flat, and I'm like, yeah, it would make sense. But how do you create this straight line easily? Because there's another problem. Planes would have to constantly dip down to not fly off the Earth. I mean, I just watched PewDiePie's video, and he's like, when someone tried to explain this, he's like, gravity, as if gravity adjusts planes perfectly to, you know, dips them down specifically to meet a certain planes go to a certain level, right? Certain height, and they maintain that height over the Earth. They maintain, that's the most important thing to keep track of, exactly what height planes are. Because if they just fly straight, you can imagine a ball, and if you just go straight in a direction, you will start rising in height dramatically, almost exponentially, until you're completely off the Earth. So that's a problem, especially for long, high-distance flights. If they don't dip down constantly, they will fly off the Earth. It's crazy, but like, there's nothing to do with gravity at this point. There's just something you have to do. Adjust. And I didn't see enough evidence to suggest that planes do in fact adjust. Censorship. That's annoying, right? Why would flat Earth be censored if it's so laughable? you know, you would at least have access to flat earth content, wouldn't you? I'm sure this video will get censored too, and not be accessible from, you know, normal search results. So, unless TikTok or Odyssey. Check these platforms out. You know, TikTok, just hashtag flat earth. I think I spelled Odyssey correct. I do have to check this out. No, it's 2 S's. I think? Actually, I don't know. I'm stupid. Because I don't know the name. It's actually Odyssey. Which is interesting name. This is where some flat earthers found another platform basically for themselves, but like TikTok is a little bit better, but it's also a little bit weird because I don't think I found flat earth channels specifically on TikTok. I just found random content that kind of gives me, you know, some suggestions on the arguments for flat earth, but I'm not sure I remember if I found anything more. I found like the government documents claiming the earth is flat, but they're not like documents that care about whether the earth is flat. Is just assuming flat earth. Whatever. Just some weird shit. Government documents that quote flat earth. It's pretty cool. We can see things in it. Yeah, but on YouTube you're not gonna get flat earth. On Google you're not gonna get flat earth content. Only debunking things. Only approved content at this point. I'm not sure whether they manually checked that the content is good or not. I don't know that. Because there's, I don't know. I don't know how they managed that. But they definitely censored a bunch of channels. And they wanted to shut down a bunch of channels too. But they somehow left flat earth channels untouched. They just shut down any accessibility, basically. Ability to find those channels is just unbelievably slim chance, basically. You won't be able to type in flat earth and find flat earth channels. There's no chance. And that's the problem, you know. Let people believe what they want to believe. Like, what's the problem here? Jesus Christ. We're trying to censor people because that's the smart thing to do. We don't want to believe in stupid things. I believe in freedom. I don't think freedom is stupid. I mean, we got a lot of things because people were free to do whatever they want. Invent whatever they want. That's where we got all these technology advancements and everything. It's all because of freedom, boys. Or the lust of freedom, because, you know, money buys freedom. It's great when you invent something. So the power of freedom just gave us so much stuff. And you still don't believe in it. You still believe, like, censorship is totally fine. Fuck that. And I will say fuck if I want to, okay? We can see things in distance that we shouldn't. Now, I don't care about the math. I just believe in this argument. That, you know, a person even claimed on the news, it's like, oh, what you see is a mirage. But, you know, what he was showing is a city from a distance, and it's like over a sea, and it's like, well, mirages happen overseas and shit? Or maybe you're just coming up with an excuse to show us something that we shouldn't be able to see over the curvature of the Earth. But we do see over a long distance. It's very important to understand that the sky has to be clear for us to see in high distances. That's the problem. That's why it's a mirage. It's a very rare occurrence, honestly. But again, using this idea, we had a problem. We can see very far away. And that's just like, where's the curvature? Why is it not hiding things properly? Now, round Earth people would be like, on flat Earth you should be able to see Mount Everest from any point of the Earth. No, that's not how it works, dude. You cannot see through obstructions. If you come up to something like a wall, you get very close to it, it will obstruct everything. You get a little bit further away, it will obstruct a few things. It might not obstruct everything, but it still it's hard because it's perspective, right? The best example is to be like, well, this is you. You have an object in the distance that you would think cannot possibly obstruct anything, right? But obviously things are going to be larger than you. Even a small hill is going to be larger than you. And suddenly, it doesn't really matter how distant it is. It's going to rise the obstruction level a little bit. And that will be just enough to hide even the largest mountain ever, eventually. Because the distance is going to be much larger there. Yeah. In other words, the small hill is going to hide super tall thing in a very distance. Because, you know, this will rise eventually away. So, that's cool. What is some last arguments that we have? It's coming to an end. It's 1 hour. It's still a long video. It's crazy, right? But this is the short version. This is like straight to the point. I don't have to write anything down or anything. Cool. We already talked about this. Why does ice exist? Why the sun works not in a heat way, but in a light way? Why does it transfer heat through light? That is weird to me. But okay. Because there's a counter argument. Seasons are confusing on around Earth. Just kind of straight up confusing. Yes, the Earth has a tilt, and that's what's causing it. But Earth also gets closer too. And it's closest on, like, January or something. When there's winter on North Pole, North Hemisphere. Why does it nothing changes when the Earth gets closer to the sun? I guess it's not a big distance in terms of ratio, but we don't get any extra seasons or anything because of that. But instead, because of the tilt we get and this, you know, the same sunlight thing gives us seasons. On Flat Earth is a little bit easier to understand. The sun just rotates in different distances from the North Pole. It changes the distance, that's what changes the seasons. And it would be a very, very fun thing to create for God. To be like, how can I make this more interesting? Because at first, the God would have had to come up with a way to do day and night. If we're talking about God creating flat Earth, he had to come up with how to make day and night. Okay, so light, source of light travels around the Earth. And then he would be like, oh, I can also make seasons by making that light fluctuate in its distance. Why is Antarctica bigger than North Pole? I think I already talked about it, kind of. But it's very interesting, isn't it? Like, Antarctica is like a big continent guarded by government, and North Pole is like small little shit in comparison. I also believe like most ice also melts at North Pole. There's not much permanent ice there, and Antarctica has plenty of that. But that's just my belief. I don't care. I don't care to be super duper accurate. I'm just like, this is what I've learned. And I just want a flight over Antarctica, please. There's actually a YouTube video, which is, I never thought that existed. It's a pretty recent one. A pilot was like, hey guys, you want to fly over Antarctica? I have a Kickstarter for $1.5 million if you want to fly over Antarctica. Please fund this thing. This is what? $1.5 million? You sure it's not a scam? You sure? Man. Because it's like, yeah, it's a good way to scam a bunch of flat earthers. I'm sure. But yeah, if this happens, it's a great argument against flat Earth. Most definitely, because we believe it's the Antarctica is a ring around the flat Earth, and you cannot just fly over it. There's also footage of like 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica, and I will just believe it. It's like, yeah, sure. I'll just put it down here. There's a thing I didn't put. Let's just believe this is a thing. And that will be the argument number 11 versus 24. Let me just recalculate how many arguments I actually have. Again, I think it's 24. So I get 25 points for Flat Earth and 11 points against Flat Earth. Cool, right? I will definitely believe in Flat Earth. Alright. See, the reason why I put this as a good argument is because I have never really seen nighttime in Antarctica, which should be very often. Alright? On Flat Earth, it should be like most of the time, honestly. But instead I saw daylight pictures of Antarctica ice wall or whatever. this is where you would take pictures, but still, it's rare that Antarctica would be just lit up like that. So, I don't know. It does make sense that it would get like 12 hours of sunlight still. But then it's like, why wouldn't ice melt in that case? So, who knows? But at the same time, it's like, Antarctica is so big. Why is it so big? It has the same seasons. Everything is the same. The Google explanation of why Antarctica is colder is because it's surrounded by ocean. I don't... What? That's your explanation, dude? Land masses actually make Arctic less, less cold. That's cool explanation, but I don't buy it. So this is where I stand on the flat Earth. I think it's a great idea, and I will keep track of all the arguments, see if I can update my list in any way, see if anything changes. We should be excited about this. So, and again, I will use this as an argument against other forms of bullshit that people believe in, that authorities want us to believe in, or whatever. Anyways, that's the end of my story. See you guys in the next video.